Greetings, Malifaux fans. This is Crazy Carl, back with another Malifaux video battle report. Today I was playing a 40 Soulstones scrap against Pat, one of our local players and our most active local henchman. We had Outcast versus Resurrectionists, so we flipped Shared Line in the Sand. I would normally take Karai for something like this because she's just so fast and she's able to summon significant models really easily, but Pat had indicated he was going to play Von Schill early on, so I decided we'd go with a little more of a fun crew. So I decided to take Nicodem, and he took Von Schill as he was planning to do. So it was going to be pretty interesting. Von Schill is really good at deflecting Nicodem's willpower-based attacks, and his crew is immune to the blasts from Decay, which means his big damage dealing is going to be very good. So it promised to be a very interesting game. So Pat took Von Schill as a master. He had a 4 Soulstone cache. He took 2 Freecorpsmen, Librarian, Misaki, Hans, the specialist, the free corps specialist, and a convict gunslinger. He had Grudge hidden on my Dead Rider, and then also Thwart hidden. So I assumed he had Thwart hidden. I didn't know what his other one's going to be. I assumed it would be something like Holdout, but you know, that's just how it ended up being. Hans is an interesting choice. Misaki also, I thought Misaki was better than she actually is. She's okay. The problem is she and Hans are just so expensive, and they're so fragile. Hans has such a low CB that he has a really hard time being effective. I mean, his spell, which is supposed to make him versatile, just doesn't do it. It's just not very good because it requires a high Rams to cast, which isn't like Rams are useful for him normally, but whatever. That's just how it was. So I had Nicodem with 4 cannon remains, so you can see 2 of them. They were deployed off on their own. The Dead Rider, a Rotten Bell, Mortimer, Rafkin, and a Grave Spirit, and then I had a 6 Soulstone cache. Mortimer I like a lot because, you know, he obviously creates the corpse counters for Nicodem and can do fresh meat to get some extra movement. But he's really, I don't think he's that good. He's not something I would play if I was playing competitively. Same with Rafkin. Rafkin is also pretty good. You can do some really cool stuff if you have Rafkin near Nicodem. You can get a lot of body parts if Nicodem does something like, if there's a couple of corpse counters, and if Nicodem does something like Arise, which sacrifices all the corpse counters to make mindless zombies, and then you can summon something with those mindless zombies, then you can end up with a bunch of body parts on Rafkin, but then at that point you're just making more mindless zombies. So it's more of a win more model, I think, than a do something useful model. And the healing is okay too, but you know, whatever. Turn 1 was fairly uneventful. Both the crews just kind of moved up. Pat, I had a brain fart and thought he could shoot at a model in my deployment zone with Hans, and apparently the long rifle is just not long enough, and he wasn't able to get much off, but there you have it. I was able to make a corpse counter. I had really good hands most of the game for making corpse counters with Mortimer. I had low crows, and then I had to cheat like 10s and 11s to cast Exhume, but it was worth it because I was getting a bunch of corpse counters. I had the Dead Rider pull Nicodem up here, you can see on turn 2, right up near a dynamite marker. And I was the defender in this, so I had an uphill battle going for me for sure. But I was able to summon a punk zombie, which did a bunch of damage to Misaki. But she and the comic gunslinger were able to take it down pretty easily. Here you can see another shot of the board. We had a lot of our store owner bought a bunch of coffins from Michael's on clearance, so they were really, really cheap. You can see Von Schill's shot of the board. He was kind of up, and he decided to go off on his own to take care of dynamite while his crew was handling my crew, which I think was a good idea because Von Schill is incredibly mobile and is very good at doing that. He can, since he's the attacker, he can move, interact, and then move again, which is really nice. The specialist went down the other side of the board, going towards another dynamite marker, so I sent a couple of cannon remains after him, which I thought was a good idea. Here you can see Hans sitting up on his perch, ready to just shoot everything, and the punk zombie that just wouldn't die. Pat killed him on his turn, which then the punk zombie was able to get a shot off against Misaki because I had bolstered with Nicodem, and then the very next turn I just summoned it up again and locked them both in combat. So it wasn't the best of times for Pat. Turn 3, the Dead Rider mounted combated around and tried to do some damage to the Freecorpsman. I tried to drag him near to Nicodem, but for some reason I just had no luck with hitting him. So the Freecorpsman, I did get a shot off with my fast action, but I wasn't able to move him around. I moved Rafkin up to be behind Nicodem and heal him up because Nicodem still hadn't gotten around to healing the wound off from the Dead Rider attacking him. And something I forgot to mention is we had the Heavy Snows special game effect, and it went off every turn except for the last turn. And Heavy Snows gives -2 CB to shooting and to ranged spells, and no charging. So the Dead Rider was awesome for this because shooting was going to be harder to get at him, and the snows meant that mounted combat is not a charge, so you're still able to basically charge without having to worry about it. It was pretty awesome for me. Misaki and the Gunslinger were tied up with that one punk zombie for a very long time. Eventually they finished it off and I didn't summon it again, but I killed off a couple free corpsmen. There you can see the Librarian in the back, which I'd healed up Misaki a couple wounds, which is why she was able to stick around for so long. But it ended up not being enough, as you'll see shortly. Here you're going to see a shot of the Free Corps Specialist. It moved over to get near the dynamite and then just didn't quite get there before my Cannon Remains swarmed in on him. The Specialist did only a couple wounds to them. I think one of them only took 2 wounds because he got 2 weeks off thanks to the hard to wound. And through a pair of focus strikes, I was able to actually take out the Specialist, which resulted in the Cannon Remains dying, but I'm okay with that. It's 2 Soulstone models for a 6 Soulstone model, so I think that was a fairly good trade on my part. Or maybe it's a 5 Soulstone model, I don't remember, but it's still something I didn't want dealing with my stuff because it ignores cover, so the mist would not be useful against it, and the blasts can bounce off and hit Nicodem, which we don't want to happen because that would be bad. I moved another pair of Cannon Remains up to engage the Free Corpsmen sitting next to the dynamite, and they did okay. They held their own for a little while, but they ended up not being able to finish off the job, so one of them died to, I believe, Von Schill charging in and killing him, and then the Dead Rider came in and finished off the Free Corpsmen, so that was nice for me, which left me with a glut of body parts. So I had Rafkin preserve bodies on turn 4, and then Nicodem arised. I was only able to get 1 body part off of that because a couple of the corpse counters were too far away, but then I summoned a Rogue Necromancy, which drew me 4 cards, got me a Rogue Necromancy, and then got me 4 body parts on Rafkin, which was pretty awesome for me, because I used Arise to put all the mindless zombies close to Nicodem, so worked out well for me. And then I had another corpse counter that got blown up by Von Schill, which happened to be within Rafkin 6 inches, so I ended up with 6 body parts at the end of that turn, which was pretty nice. That's one of the things I don't like about Rafkin, is it's hard to get body parts unless you're killing your own stuff early. You have to get them later, which means he's pretty slow. You can do something like kill a Cannon Remains and then use another Cannon Remains to pick up the body part and send it back, but I don't really like to do that because it's a waste of AP in my opinion. You can see Von Schill moving to support the Free Corpsman that was about to die. Von Schill was then decided to just kind of run away. You don't see it in the shop, but you'll see it soon. He just ran over to this hill, and Hans just kind of sat there for a while. Hans was taking some shots. Hans was actually a neat idea, especially against Nicodem, because one of Nicodem's big defenses against range attacks is the mist, or is the fog, whatever his spell is, the 6-inch aura, the not stitched together one. And Hans is actually able to see through that, which is pretty cool. It's not something I had really thought about. The Rogue Necromancy, you'll see, did not survive because Pat rapid fired with his Combat Gunslinger and killed it off with between, I think, 2 AP worth because he got so many rapid fires off, or so many trigger happies off, so it was pretty cool for him. I had the Dead Rider move up and get the Grave Spirit attached to it finally. I forgot to do it for a really long time, and that made it very vulnerable. Like, I wanted it to die anyway, but I wanted Von Schill to focus on it and kill it. And I just noted, I kind of like left it out in the open. I'm like, okay, you know, I made a mistake. Oh, you can now shoot at it with Von Schill, because Von Schill is really good at killing the Dead Riders. But Pat just kept on not shooting at it, and I got really confused. I'm like, why are you not doing this? Turns out he had Grudge, so that was hidden. So here you can see Von Schill moving down. Hans also moved down. He decided that he was done shooting at stuff and needed to take care of some work to take out some dynamite, so he did that. I decided to move over my Dead Rider and pick a fight with Von Schill in the hopes that Von Schill would make some melee attacks and kill him. Which his hunting knife is actually reasonably good for, because he ignores armor, and then he ignores hard to wound, gets a plus on the damage flip as well. So with the Dead Rider sitting at 7 wounds without armor or hard to wound to protect it, it would die pretty easily. But as it was, he just flew away again, and that was, again, because he didn't have to do that. I ended up killing off Hans with the Dead Rider, and had Mortimer on the top of that hill there to block Von Schill from activating one of the dynamites, so I was able to keep him off the dynamites for long enough to move a couple models around, turn off one of the dynamites, so it left him with only 1 active, which meant I got 3 points for the shared line in the sand. I got 2 points for Surrounded by Death, because between Rafkin and Nicodem, I was able to summon and resummon mindless zombies and corpse counters in enough places that I wouldn't have to worry about it. So I was able to get 4 points for that, and I got no points for my Kill Protege because my Dead Rider lived to the end of the game. Pat ended up not getting any points for Grudge on the Dead Rider, and also not for Thwart because I was able to get mine. So it was a really nice, fun, quick game, and it was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you guys next time.